Should Spurs make Semenyo a statement signing? Spurs eye an £86 million rated striker move. Another international roundup for Spurs players with Porro receiving plaudits. James Maddison releases a new YouTube video detailing his ACL journey and recovery. A congested 3 weeks for Thomas Frank and his players after the international break. A lot to get into your latest edition of the Daily Tottenham News headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham News headlines where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already a subscriber to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And if you do have a spare moment, please do vote for us at the Football Content Awards 2025. All of the details and links are below. Okay, let's get into it. Team talk suggests that Tottenham must make Antoine Semenyo a statement signing in the next transfer window or next summer. The Bournemouth attacker has made a spectacular start to the new season, notching 6 goals and 3 assists in just 8 games so far. However, that start means his price tag is only going one way, especially when you consider that the Cherries did not insert a release clause in the new 5-year £75,000 a week deal he signed early in the summer. Semenyo would likely double that salary and figure if he did move to North London in January. However, with Frank a massive fan of what the Ghana attacker has to offer. Indeed, the thought of having Semenyo in the troublesome left wing spot for Tottenham opposite his international teammate Mohamed Kudus would be a mouth-watering prospect. Trying to convince Bournemouth into the mid-season sale of arguably their best player would be tough, but Spurs have to try to make a statement that they mean business both on and off the pitch after Daniel Levy's exit. It may well take an offer in excess of £80 million to get a deal done for Semenyo, but the funds were there at the back of the summer window, and this cash injection clearly means that Frank will get the chance to make a significant addition or two in his squad early in the new year. Team talk also stated that Tottenham Hotspur reportedly plotting a sensational move for Porto's prolific striker Samu Aghehowa as concerns grow over the long-term fitness of Dominic Solanke. According to Team Talk, Spurs are assessing attacking options and reinforcements after Solanke was sidelined following an ankle injury, leaving boss Thomas Frank short of options up front. Aghehowa has emerged as a prime target after netting 32 goals in 53 appearances, joining Porto in 2024. The Nigerian forward is said to have an £86 million release clause and remains under contract until 2029, meaning any deal would require a substantial financial commitment from Tottenham. Both Chelsea and Newcastle United, however, have also shown interest in previous windows and in the player, suggesting a potential competition for his signature. Despite the possible arrival of a marquee striker, reports indicate that Frank still views Richarlison as an integral part of his attacking setup once fully fit. While Spurs' interest highlights their intent to strengthen offensively, the story remains speculative with no formal approach yet confirmed by either club. Tottenham defender Ben Davies will make his 100th appearance for Wales on Monday as they face Belgium. He will join former teammates Gareth Bale, Chris Gunter and Wayne Hennessy in reaching that mark. Gareth Bale holds the record appearance number with 111 caps. Wales boss Craig Bellamy said, "I watched the game back against Canada in September and he was so good. He was just amazing. Every part of his game as good as I've ever seen him play for Wales. That was my feeling." We can all agree that he's been a top player, but we are all very impressed with him as an individual and as a person. You can see when he does interviews, he's very impressive. He will be a top manager if he wants to be, or he could become a director of football or a CEO. He's that level and beyond impressive as a person. His level of consistency and his consistency of being available is a credit to him. Pedro Porro helped Spain to make it 3 wins out of 3 in their World Cup qualification campaign on Saturday night, continuing in the starting lineup for Spain as he has done throughout their qualification campaign. Pedro played 75 minutes in his nation's 2-0 win over Georgia to continue their perfect run in qualifying. Picking up his 13th international cap, it was an all-action display from the fullback, but he will be disappointed not to have opened the goal scoring and his account on the international stage in Elche, as he both drew a brilliant save at a Liverpool goalkeeper Georgi Mamardashvili in the first half before cracking the left-hand post in the second. The result gives Spain 9 points from 9 after 3 games in qualifying, scoring 11 with 0 conceded. It's such a strong start they could even look to secure their spot at the 2026 World Cup on Tuesday had Turkey not thumped Bulgaria 6-1. Media reviews on Pedro Porro and his performance for Spain. El Desmarque gave him a 9 out of 10 for his performance and said a real dagger from the wing. He had several chances to score with several dangerous crosses and the odd one. Mamardashvili struggled. He even hit the woodwork with a great shot that could have made it 2-0 in the second half. He was by far the best player of the match. The praise continues from Sport, who gave him an 8 out of 10 and said one of the best players on the Spanish national team. He drove up the wing a lot and delivered some good crosses. He even dared to shoot, testing Mamardashvili in the second half. He came close to scoring but hit the post. Mundo Deportivo even said he had clear orders to drive every ball into the box and he carried them out from start to finish. He earned a well-deserved standing ovation from the entire Martínez Valero Stadium and finished as the match's MVP. Manus Solomon picked up his 47th international cap and played the full 90 minutes as Israel fell 5-0 to inform Norway, a result which means they can only hope of securing a World Cup playoff place in Group I. Guillermo Vicario and Destiny Doggies Italy, who currently occupy the playoff place in Group I, kept tabs on leaders Norway with a 3-1 win over Estonia. Both players were unused substitutes. João Paulinho was an unused substitute for Portugal as they scored a dramatic late winner, Neves, against the Republic of Ireland, winning 1-0 to continue their perfect start to qualifying. After the international break, Spurs face another busy schedule with 7 games in the next 3 weeks with a mixture of Premier League, Carabao Cup and Champions League matches. Those games are Villa away, Monaco away, Everton away, Newcastle away in the Carabao Cup, Chelsea at home, Copenhagen at home and Manchester United at home. A very, very hard run of fixtures that could well decide and shape our season. Football.London report that James Maddison released a YouTube video on Friday evening showing the first 3 weeks of his recovery and on his first visit back to Hotspur Way after his ACL reconstruction. Maddison thanked both Rodrigo Bentancur and Christian Romero in the video for sitting with him while he was emotional inside the stadium after the game in Korea. Spurs captain Romero simply said, "We're family." Bentancur gave Maddison a boost by explaining that his recovery was longer and he needed 9 months out because the Uruguayan also damaged the meniscus in his knee, which the England international did not. When speaking to club doctors, Maddison admitted that he's going to make sure that he is completely ready before coming back, but he's hoping to make a return 8 months after the injury, which would see him back in April for the Premier League season's final couple of months. "I've already looked at the average time out," Maddison said. "If it's 8 months, 6 months, it isn't a question. The stage I'm at now, this needs to be right now," he said. "I'm 28. I'm going to be 29 when I return. I'm in my prime. These are my peak years ahead of me. I need to come back and I need to stay fit. So actually, I'm not going to be pushing to say, oh, why are you taking so long, sort of thing. But if it gets to 8 months and we're flying or whatever, if I'm in the right frame, that will allow me to play this season, won't it, towards the end." There were also early signs of Dominic Solanke's ankle problem when earlier in the season the striker said about his ankle when asked by Maddison how it was, "As good as it can be," the striker said. And various reports are stating that Nottingham Forest could well look to replace Big Ange Postecoglou as their boss with Sean Dyche. Now, should Angelos Marinakis decide to do this, that would mean Ange Postecoglou has only been in charge at Forest for a number of weeks before Forest decide to pull the plug and replace him with another manager. Ouch. Okay, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Firstly, Antoine Semenyo again. The rumours keep circulating about Antoine Semenyo. suppose the question is, should Spurs make Antoine Semenyo a statement signing? Yes, in my opinion, they should. They should be going all out for this player. There's got to be an upper limit. I spoke about this the other day. There's obviously got to be an upper limit. We don't want to get involved in a bidding war just to appease Bournemouth. Obviously, they're going to want as much as possible for their star player. I mean, he's been at the centre of everything good they've done this season. They're not going to want to lose him. I think they probably know deep down that they are going to lose him at some point, whether that be in January or next summer. I think Semenyo is going to be on his way out of Bournemouth, and the Cherries will definitely get a big payday when he goes. But how much do you pay? What is that amount? How much should we be paying for this player? It's difficult to say. I mean, the figures being discussed in world football now are, you're not going to get a class player for, unless they're right at the end of their contract. You're not going to get much change out of 60, 70 million, and that is what I would expect that Bournemouth are going to be asking for Semenyo, and that's the sort of money we're going to have to be paying to get him. Yes, of course, back in the day, I thought this was going to spiral everything, and I suppose it did to a certain degree, but when Coutinho left Liverpool, what was it, 150 million he went for? A bit of a flop when he went as well. Neymar, what was that, 200 million? I was a bit worried that things would be going that way, and they have to a degree, but 200 million pound for a player, that's not going to happen. Certainly not going to happen for Semenyo. But we're going to have to pay 70 million, 75 million for this player. I suppose it's what is enough, what is too much. What should we be paying for this player? And for me, if you want him, you got to pay the money, 70 odd million pound. Let's go get him, whether he's an Arsenal fan or not. I don't think we're going to get caught up in the same situation as we did with Eza. As I've said before, I think this is going to be slightly different. But does the player want to come to Spurs? I would imagine he probably will do. Champions League qualification is a must for Tottenham for next season as well. But one step at a time. Are they going to show an interest in January? Let's see where this one goes. The next story was Samu Aghehowa. I must admit I don't know much about this player, but I have said for weeks now, if not months, that we do need strengthening in the number 9 department. Yes, we've got Randall Kalamoani. We haven't seen what he can do as yet. Solanke's still injured. Whether he's going to be back straight away after the international break, we simply don't know. I'll come on to his ankle a bit later on when I speak about what was in James Maddison's YouTube video. But for me, I think it's probably about time Richarlison moves on at the end of the season or even in January. And do we look to bring this lad in? Good numbers from what I read out earlier. They were really good numbers for this striker. But again, this is new to the Premier League, so it's always going to be a bit of a risk. But I do think we need to strengthen in the number 9 department. Doesn't look like Kalamoani is going to stay at Spurs at the end of the season. As far as we know now, we don't know. Let's be honest, we don't know at the moment. But let's see what he can do. He might love it at Spurs. He might start banging them in and want to stay, but we simply don't know. But I think they've definitely got to look to replace Richarlison within the next 6 months to a year. Players on international duty. Ben Davies racking up those appearances for Wales, 100th cap. I love Ben Davies. I think he's been a phenomenal servant to Spurs, and all you Welsh fans out there, I'm sure you love Ben Davies too. Obviously coming to the end of his career now, I think he's been a very underrated and important person around the Spurs, not just on the pitch for Spurs, but around the Spurs dressing room. I think he's given so much to this club. I hope the club, if there's a position available, offer him something in the coaching role, perhaps, a bit like they did with Ryan Mason. I think Davies has earned that. You've seen from manager to manager to manager, Jose Mourinho, even Pochettino when he was there, but Jose Mourinho when he came in, Antonio Conte, Ange Postecoglou, hasn't had much minutes under Thomas Frank, but all those managers can't be wrong. Ben Davies has been a sensational servant to Spurs. So happy to see him get to that milestone of caps, and I hope Wales do well and qualify for the World Cup. Pedro Porro receiving absolutely brilliant reports, let's be honest, about his display. I think he's been one of the most consistent players in a Spurs shirt over the last couple of years. Yes, he's had a few dodgy games, but every player can have those dodgy games. But I think he's one of the best crossers of the ball in the Premier League. I think we should be thankful that we've got somebody like Pedro Porro in the team. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I really do like Pedro Porro at right back. I think sometimes there's a risk he can be overplayed because he's been that good and that consistent. But now we've got Jed Spence can admirably step into those shoes and actually challenge Porro. So really good to see Porro getting all those plaudits, and long may it continue as long as England don't come up against Spain, of course. And Manus Solomon, not the best result for Israel. Are we going to see anything in Manus Solomon? Is he going to come back to Spurs at all and actually get any game time? Or is Thomas Frank going to want to have a look at him again next year? Probably no, in my opinion. I think they're going to be looking, like I say, to sign players like hopefully Antoine Semenyo, and that would probably mean the end for Solomon at Spurs. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Obviously, a long time out injured. Just hasn't worked out for him at Tottenham, let's face it. Guillermo Vicario and Destiny Udogie, both unused subs for Italy. That's fine by me. I like our players to get a bit of a rest, go on international duty. I'm sure they want to play for their country, absolutely. But, you know, if our players are going away and essentially getting a rest, doing a bit of training, keeping their fitness up, that's fine by me. And obviously, yeah, Paulinho. I haven't watched much international football myself, and it's just what I've read. But yeah, Paulinho, again, if he's getting a bit of a rest and not getting overplayed, that's fine. He's been one of our players of the season so far, in my opinion. So yeah, let's give him a rest, and hopefully he comes back, and all our players come back refreshed, having had some minutes and done a bit of training, but come back ready to jump into this next round of fixtures, which I'll come on to now. Yeah, this is, for me, this is going to be a season-defining period for Tottenham. There's some Champions League games in there. There's obviously Premier League games in there. The next round of the Carabao Cup against Newcastle away, which is going to be a hell of a tough game up there. Didn't get the luck with that home draw, and Newcastle not been a happy hunting ground, of course, over the last few seasons. It's going to be a tough test. It really is. And these next few games for Spurs, these 7 matches, in my opinion, are going to and could define our season and the Thomas Frank reign so far, if you like. You know, if we do well in these Champions League games, get more points on the board, brilliant. If we can get through to the next round of the Cup and hold our own in the league, you know, this is a crucial period. These next 3 weeks, you know, that amount of games in 3 weeks, it's going to be a lot. And look, all clubs, most clubs in Europe are going to be playing that amount of games. I totally get that, but that's why you need a big squad. Is our squad big enough? I think it's going to be tested over these next few weeks. Hopefully, we're going to get a few players back, but if we don't, it's really going to test our squad. And I think if we can get, for me, look, I want to win every game. Of course, we all want to win every game. If we can get through that match at Newcastle, that would be a good game to get through to the next round of the Cup and make us actually believe we can bet, because Newcastle are up there. Newcastle have been a thorn in our side the last few years, and if we can actually go to St James's Park and get through to that next round of the Cup, I think that's a big thing. I think the Champions League takes care of itself. The next two games away to Monaco, home to Copenhagen, I would expect us to beat Copenhagen. Monaco's always going to be a tough place to go. But it's kind of a welcome sort of break away from the Premier League, those Champions League games. Let's hope we can get some more points on the board in that. That'll set us in good stead going into the next round of fixtures after the November international break and coming towards Christmas. And of course, the Premier League, some big games there. The games at Chelsea, against Chelsea and Manchester United, to name a couple. It's going to come thick and fast, absolutely thick and fast. And, game every 3 to 4 days. It's really going to test the squad. Let's hope we can get as many points on the board as possible. The James Maddison video on YouTube, I have to say, I thought it was very good. I thought the video, if you haven't watched it, go and have a look at it. It's on James Maddison's new YouTube channel. Documents, it was just after his diagnosis, essentially right through the operation. You don't see the operation, obviously, but see his recovery from a couple of days afterwards. Going to see the doctor, speaking to the doctors. And what was really interesting for me, going into the Spurs training ground at Hotspur Way, speaking to the players, a lot of the players in it. There's definitely a bit of a bromance with Archie Gray and Brendan Johnson there. They're obviously close to Maddison, but you see likes of Romero and Bentancur and Kulusevski, Dominic Solanke, to name but a few. And there's so much footage of the players in at Hotspur Way. It's really good. Now, Say what you think about James Maddison. I know not everybody likes him, and I'll let you make your own decisions on that. But for a video perspective, I thought it was very good. Definitely a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you wouldn't necessarily see the club put out in their videos. It's a bit more polished. The Spurs ones, this is seems more personal. And obviously this is Maddison's early phase of going, it's a part of the injury, having done this injury. It's a hellish injury, and the recovery back. I don't care whether you're a Premiership footballer or a Sunday League player like I was. The recovery is brutal, absolutely brutal, and it's well worth watching. Go and give it a watch. And like I say, no matter what your feelings are on James Maddison, go and give it a watch. I actually really enjoyed it. And just this story about the rumours of Big Ange being ousted from Notts Forest and then replacing him with Sean Dyche. Look, I know this isn't purely Tottenham related, but I thought I'd sling it in because obviously Ange Postecoglou is a part of our club's history, and I wanted to see Ange do well wherever he went. Sadly, probably, if I'm being brutally honest, not at Forest. I wish he hadn't gone to Forest because of the Marinakis thing with Morgan Gibbs-White in the summer. I think a lot of us fans probably feel the same about that. You know, it's not necessarily Notts Forest, it's the owner that's really got to us about how that whole thing was handled. But it just, when you look at it, if you're an outsider, you're replacing Nuno Espirito Santo, the style of football he plays. We're all very aware of that, having been a manager of Tottenham, and you're replacing him with Ange Postecoglou and the style of football he plays. Now, firstly, are the players in that squad? I'm not sure what Marinakis was thinking replacing him with Big Ange, because are the players in that squad going to be able to play an Ange system? In my opinion, no. It would seem to me total flip. You've got Nuno Espirito Santo down here and Ange Postecoglou way out of frame, to be honest with you. You couldn't get two different managers and different styles. And to me, it's no surprise that hasn't worked. And now they're talking about getting rid of Big Ange after what, 6, 7, 8 weeks in charge? Too soon, in my opinion, but I'll be brutally honest, it probably is never going to work for Ange. At Forest, that's not the sort of club that he would, I see him at, to be honest with you, and the style of play. Sean Dyche, however, probably would fit Forest very well, and if Sean Dyche comes in, I'm sure he'll shore up the ship and do really well at Forest. But as I say, this isn't Spurs related as such, but I thought I'd sling it in. It'd be a shame for Big Ange if he gets the sack at Forest, but in my opinion, Marinakis, you know, I don't have many, I don't feel sorry for you, I'll put it that way. So that's all from me today. Get down in the comments as always and let me know your thoughts on all these stories today, or anything else you want to talk about Spurs related, or anything else you'd like to see covered on this channel. Get down in the comments and let me know. Have a good rest of your weekend, what's left of it, and as always, come on you Spurs.